Hey everybody, we're back with another Superhuman Customs, and this week I am very, very excited because we are doing a Wonder Woman custom. Now, I don't know how many of you guys really enjoyed Future State. I dug it. It felt very natural to me with where the characters ended up, particularly Superman and Wonder Woman. So I did my Superman custom of House of L Superman from Future State, which I dug. He was also in the Wonder Woman Future State, so I was like, I'm gonna buy it. So I got those ones. And I absolutely loved the Wonder Woman from that comic. She was very classic. She just had some white in her hair, but she had a Green Lantern ring around her neck. She had a Batman belt around her waist, and she had Superman's tattered cape. And this figure, when I saw her, I was like, okay, this is perfect. I just need to do a little bit, and I need to create her hair and all that sort of stuff. So we're gonna do some really fun experimentation today with this figure because we're gonna do hair using a 3D pen because I was thinking about removing this hair and using hair from something else, but in Future State, she's got a ponytail, and I just figured, you know, let's really go all out and see if we can make this work with a 3D pen. So that is what we are going to do. Let's get started. All right, paints we're gonna use on this is this brown from War Paints, our ever wonderful matte black, our red from Model Air, let's get it in focus, there we go, and our metallic for some of those little details. All right, and what we're gonna start is we're gonna paint her stomach and all this red. We're gonna go with our red paint, and then we're gonna paint the belt here brown. Now she doesn't have that in the comics, but Wonder Woman always has different accessories, so I'm gonna keep all this stuff, I'm not gonna remove it. Now what I'm gonna use for the Batman belt, I'm excited about this. I found this I got this years ago with a larger figure, and it's just clear it's a belt, right? So I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna cut off all this excess, I'm gonna paint it yellow, and that's gonna be the Batman belt. It's actually gonna hang perfectly on her. It's the perfect scale. So I'm super excited about this little accessory we're gonna add to her. All right, this red is looking really good on her stomach here, and as you can see, I'm keeping it away from the blue. And now I'm going to paint these blue belts brown and add some details here. I just don't think they'd be blue, and so I'm gonna make them brown. They're gonna be covered mainly by the big yellow belt, but still they're gonna be seen, so I want them to stand out. And yeah, so I think those are looking really good. I got the knife over here. All right, now we're moving on to the belt. I'm gonna cut off these little pieces and make it so that it will fit around her nice and it kind of hangs to the side. So I'm gonna cut these, and now I am painting it yellow. I'm gonna paint both sides. It's starting to look the way that I want it to. It's gonna look like a Batman belt. I don't know if I'm gonna put the bat symbol, because obviously in the comic, you could see it had a bat symbol on it to make sure that people knew it was Batman's belt and she wasn't just wearing a yellow accessory. I don't know if I'm gonna do that because it's really small, but I'm gonna try. All right, here we are so far. As you can see, I've got the belt on her. The red is matched pretty well on her stomach. And I've added some details here just on her boots a little bit just to make things stand out. You know me, I like to have that. And her scabbard here, I painted black. You can see the belts are looking really nice. And then here is the pièce de résistance, the Batman belt. Painted it yellow, I've got it glued on in place, and I have decided to actually try and put the bat symbol here. So I'm gonna try that. I should have done it before I glued it on, but I didn't think about it. All right, I did think about it, I just didn't think I was gonna do it. Now that I see it on her, I'm like, okay, I can do it. So that is my plan, and then we will move on to her hair once that is done. All right, here we go. Let's see if we can get this bat symbol on. I've just got a pigment liner here. I'm gonna put it on. I know it won't be a permanent, but I'm gonna put a wash over the top and that will dry, and hopefully that will keep it so that it is permanent. So let's see if we can get just a little bat sign here. And okay. I mean, it's very small, but it's definitely a bat sign. So there we go. I think that'll work. You know what I've decided to do is I'm gonna fix this bat sign a little bit with some of the paint. So I'm just gonna have the yellow paint here, and I'm just gonna take a toothpick and dip it in and just fix some of these areas right here. Let's see what we can do. There we go, look at that, boom. That's about perfect. And let's see if we can get so you can see the ears. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Okay, I put a wash on her belt, or on Batman's belt, I guess I should say, and it's turned out pretty good. It's looking dirty. It's looking like it's been, you know, around for a couple of centuries. It's looking nice. But now we're into the real experimentation part, because we are about to do her hair. This is something I've never done before. I've never even attempted. We are going to use this. This is a 3D pen. So it works just like a 3D printer. It just allows you to 3D print wherever it is that you want. This is my 9-year-old daughter, Olivia's. She's allowing me to use it. It's got just the plastic coils. You can put it on however you want. This is true experimentation. I don't know how this is going to turn out or whether it's going to work at all. I'm pretty sure it will, but now is the time to find out. So it looks like it just extrudes like a regular one. Ooh, that goes on pretty nice. Look at that. All right, let's just see so that it's filling it in and it stops really nicely. I was afraid it was just going to continue. Yeah, it's not as smooth as I had hoped. Or maybe I should say I am not as smooth as I had hoped. Okay, so, all right, it's going on there. That's okay. Again, it's kind of bubbly. It's not super duper smooth, but hopefully as I get more up in here, I'll be able to be smoother. It doesn't seem to be the pen that's having a problem. It seems to be me and my hand that is having the problem. So let's just keep going. Now I'm going to keep most of the top hair. It cools off really fast. It cools off really fast. Remember, all this is going to get painted black, so hopefully it won't be quite so strange looking. But as you can see, so she's getting a head of hair here. And it's looking okay, not looking stellar. I think I can chip off some of this stuff that is hanging off. See, it comes off pretty easily, some of these. So that will be the goal. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start working on the ponytail and her crown. All right, so I found this little crown amongst my daughter's things that they were kind of getting rid of. And I figured this would be the perfect one for Wonder Woman. She has this little crown on the back of her head holding in place her ponytail. So I'm just going to paint it yellow, and then I'm going to cut this part out and these parts out so that it will actually fit on the back of her head, and then I'll have the hair kind of go through it just like it does in the comic. All right, what I'm going to try to do now is I'm going to try and form her ponytail. I'm going to use this paintbrush, and I'm going to try and go over the top and then down like this so that she's got it. This stuff can be pretty drapey, and I just want to make sure that I can get it over and have something to build on. So let's see if this will work. Oops, there we go. Okay, another layer. And let's see if I can extricate. Maybe I have to wait for it to dry. It dries pretty quick, like literally within about 10 seconds it dries. So let's see if this will work. Ooh, it's still hot, but okay. All right, so that is forming the ponytail. So I'm gonna use this as the base going forward here. And let's just keep building it up. It's actually looking like curly hair, which is pretty good. I think once it's black, hopefully this will look really good. Got the crown on. All right, so her ponytail, everything's looking pretty good. I mean, it'll look better once it's black, hopefully. And I'll get rid of some of these strings and stuff and smooth some things out maybe with an X-Acto knife. But right now we're gonna put the 2 pieces of her hair that come down over her forehead. I'm gonna do the same thing that I did with the ponytail so that I can give it a little bit of volume. And let's see if we can make this work here. Holding it in place. Look, I don't even need to hold it. All right, let's see if we can get this off. Okay, same deal. Let's see if I can kind of twist it a little bit. Give this a little bit better. Let it dry. And then again, I'm going to use that as the base, just as I did with the ponytail in the back. All right, I think her hair is done. It turned out pretty good. I mean, it's a little bit squiggly because it's hard to get it. It kind of comes out a little bit quick, and so it kind of, you know, it kind of squiggles a little bit. But particularly for Wonder Woman, it works pretty well because she's of Greek descent, right? And so I think it looks pretty good. It's not perfect, but what is? But it still looks really cool. So now we're going to move on to the painting. We're going to get this hair painted black and see how we look.
All right, so let's go ahead and start painting her hair black. Now all of her hair is black except for these strands coming down in front of her face. So we will leave those white, because in the comic book, they are white. Other than that, everything else will go black, just her standard hair. Now there's lots of little holes and stuff in here that I've got to look out for as I'm painting, because how the 3D printer worked, it created lots of texture, which is nice. Hopefully when it's all black, it will look very nice. So we're going to experiment and see how all of this ends up turning out. Using a thicker brush right now just to get coverage. And then once I get the details, I'll move to a smaller brush. All right, just getting some of the details in here around the ears and such. The hair turned out looking very curly, which I actually like. I'm a big fan of George Perez's Wonder Woman art because he makes her hair very curly. It makes her look much more Greek, much more Mediterranean. And so having her hair be a little more curly than it is in the comic does not bother me at all. What I'm gonna do right now is I'm just gonna do some quick yellow because she does not have a red star on her forehead in the comic. So I'm gonna paint that yellow. She has a yellow star. So I'm gonna go through and just paint that star yellow. It won't match the gold around it, but it will be less, the red, well obviously the yellow will be less noticeable than the red. So I'm just gonna kind of go around it, get that. And remember this paint, this Citadel paint is pretty thin. So I'm just going to kind of mush it around a little bit so that it doesn't get too clumpy anywhere, because otherwise it will get very clumpy. So I'm going to try and kind of move around this excess. Maybe I'll move it around on her tiara a little bit. What I'm doing now while the hair is drying, I'm just adding some little texture to the cape here. Just on the edges, just where the kind of folds are, I'm just adding a little hint of red, just to make it stand out a little bit. That's all. Not trying to make it, look too crazy or anything, just to give it a little bit of texture, because this red will be darker than the red that's on it, and it'll just add a nice little subtlety to it. Again, I like the subtle. I like having it so that little things stand out. And this is supposed to be Superman's cape that after his death she has worn, because in the comic they were together like in 2,000 years. It had been together for a very long time. And so when he died fighting Darkseid, she took his cape, and it was sort of the memory of her love that she wore. So just want to highlight just a little bit. All right, one of the last things on her is this Green Lantern symbol that I also created using the 3D pen around her neck. And it needs to be green. So I'm going to take just a Q-tip and dip it on there, because remember this green that I was using on the Brainiac, it tended to wreck my brushes. So there we go. Got pretty good coverage just in that one dip. Doesn't look like there's any slop over or anything. I tried to create a Green Lantern symbol on it with a pen, but it didn't really work, and this paint is probably not going to soak in enough to show it off. So it's going to look kind of like an oblong Green Lantern, but it's going to get the point across.
All right, I was about to say, we're done, but we're not. Okay, I've been looking at her very closely, and how I did the sort of strands coming down in front of her face, for me, they're just coming up way too high. And so I'm going to cut them off, and I'm going to redo them. I figured out a better way to do it using a Q-tip. I think that that's going to put it closer to her face and make it look a little bit more natural. I would rather her look the way that I want her to look than every time I look at her going like, oh, I wish I had done this. So I'm going to cut them off right now. So let's go.
All right, here we go. I'm just going to take some needle nose pliers, and I'm going to cut these off. And you might ask, am I nervous about this? A little bit. But again, I would rather her look the way I want her to look than have it turn out and not be, good. So let's these off. All right, that one's off. This one's off. It's just like with the paint, guys. If you don't like how something's looking, you can always paint over it. Well, with this one, we are going to remove it. And it is going to end up looking the way that I would like it to look. There we go. They're off. I'm going to trim it off a little bit more and paint it all black so that just the white will then come off. I think that's going to look better. So you can see I painted all of her hair. She looks much better. And now let's see if we can really make this pop using this. So here we go. Whoops. That didn't turn out the way we wanted. Oh, that didn't turn out the way I wanted it either. My goodness. All right, we're just gonna freehand it. All right, that looks a little bit better. Let's try it on this side. Just freehanding it. I'm gonna try and get it so it's unhooked. There we go. All right, that's looking a little bit better.
All right, I'm really glad that I did that I took the risk and cut it off, because these are much more subtle. They look better in my opinion. It's still got the sort of the curly ringlets, which I'm okay with. She's got the Green Lantern ring right there. She's got the Batman belt. For me, this turned out pretty well. Would I do it differently another time? I might, but you know, it's just gonna take some practice with a 3D pen in order to get things to where they're smooth. So I would have to, you know, play around a little bit more. I did play around with the ponytail at the end and I was able to get it more smooth. So I think it would just take a little bit more practice when it comes to this particular medium. But for what I wanted to do, I think I've accomplished it. She looks just like the future state version of Wonder Woman. She's got a full head of hair instead of a mohawk, and she's got the white coming down in front of her face. She's gonna go perfect with my future state Superman, and I'm very excited that I took the time and went a little bit deeper into this. This was awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will see you next week.